Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
Just ahead of Jeff Paterson, it is Wednesday, and all of our Wednesday guests, sponsored by the O's marketing team at Royal LePage. They'll find your next home in Nanaimo, Nanoose Bay, Parksville, and Colquhoun Beach. Find out more at wearerealestate.com. Some people in the Delaney's OK Tower and Langley inbox pointing out that apparently the Husky Tower is now called the Calgary Tower.
Calgary Tower changed in 1971.
Yeah, I'm really up on my Husky Tower information here.
Hey, we got to do
And they
research.
also talked about the Harbor Tower in Vancouver not being all that great.
Yep.
Jeff Paterson, I'm sure, is happy to join us now.
Yeah.
Tough segue here. Canucks Reporter. How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing well, guys. Really enjoyed the interview with Dan Hamhuis. Good
Yes.
to hear from him, and a little walk down memory lane. So, no, I enjoyed that.
Do you think his presence would have made a big difference in the 2011 Cup Final, Jeff?
I thought you were going to ask if I thought his presence would make a big difference on the Calgary Tower, but
I might have.
Yeah. I mean, injuries were one of the many storylines. There were so many there, but they became a war of attrition, and losing him early when they did. And it's funny, Donnie, because I'm with you. If you had asked me straight up, I would have said Game 2.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, just a steadying presence, right? Like, very few mistakes. You knew what you were getting from Dan Hamhuis, and just obviously a guy that was pulling on the rope in the right direction for the Canucks and helped them and made them a whole lot better. And so to lose him, and then, as he said, Aaron Rome a few games later, like all of a sudden there's the trickle-down effect, and you're replacing a replacement guy already, and yeah, like you just knew what you were getting every shift from Dan Hamhuis. I think that's what coaches loved about him. Just as steady as they come, not a lot of flash to his game, but boy, you could lean on him in some big situations. So there were a ton of guys that were playing through injuries. He didn't get a chance, obviously, to play through his, and yeah, they missed him, but unless he was going to score 7 goals in Boston, I'm not sure that ultimately one guy was going to make the difference for the Vancouver Canucks.
As Toronto celebrates Montreal's playoff success, Jeff, did you honestly think Tyler Toffoli would be capable of what he is doing right now with the Montreal Canadiens, leading them in regular season points and overtime hero, leading them in playoff points?
I think I did, Don. Like, he's a really good player, and we got a glimpse of that, and that's all it was. Obviously, it was fleeting here in Vancouver, but this is a guy with Stanley Cup pedigree from his time in Los Angeles, and put in the right situation. Like, you know, he's a finisher. He's got that knack to score big goals, and he scored a few for the Canucks, but he talked about it being a blessing, everything that's happened for him to wind up in Montreal. And clearly he's not looking back. I know there were a lot of people here on the West Coast that aren't ready to let go of the story just yet, but I'm happy for him. He's a guy that put in the right spots obviously can help a hockey club, and he's doing that for Montreal. I think the bigger surprise for me is, you know, he's producing, but Brendan Gallagher only has 2 goals, 11 games into the playoffs. Josh Anderson has 1, and then you get to guys like Philip Deneau, who plays a lot, but, you know, they don't expect a ton of offense from him, but he hasn't scored yet. Cole Caulfield looks terrific, but he hasn't scored yet in these playoffs either, and so it's been Joel Armia and Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Nick Suzuki, who I'm you know, I can't get enough of right now. Like, the more I watch that guy, like, he looks like a star in the making. But, you know, it's some of their younger players. We always talk about guys needing to be battle-tested come playoff time. Suzuki and Kotkaniemi certainly are stepping up. And a guy like Joel Armia, who I think scored 7 goals in the regular season, already has 5 now here in the playoffs. So, you know, it isn't the guys necessarily that you would expect that are leading the charge. And then you've got Carey Price doing his part at the other end. And the biggest thing for me with Montreal is they never trail. Like, you know, they don't need a ton of offense because they get the lead, and then they're able to sort of impose their will on opponents. Carey Price stopping everything that comes his way. I do worry in the next round if they fall behind against a fast and a skilled team. You know, does that take Montreal out of its comfort zone? Does that force them to change the way they play in an effort to generate offense? And so I'll be curious to see, but I think it's 7 straight games that they have opened the scoring. They didn't trail at any point against Winnipeg, and they're 8-1 in these playoffs when they score first. So clearly, you see the value of that opening goal to a team like the Montreal Canadiens.
Jeff, watching Vegas and Colorado is a lot of fun right now. But when it was funny. It was asked last night, how far are the Canucks from Vegas or Colorado? You look at the speed, the size, the heaviness, the skill, the hits last night, the compete level. When you look at those two teams in Vancouver, that is a legit question. How far are the Canucks from being like that?
Yeah, and I would say that the gap is remarkably wide, and how you bridge that gulf, I mean, that's up to Jim Benning and his front office to try to figure out, but there is no easy solution or quick fix to any of this. Like, that Colorado team is stacked, and so I give Vegas all the credit in the world after what happened in Game 1. Like, they were really good in Game 2. They lost on the power play and in overtime, but they were probably the better team that night. And then they got back home, they won, and then to be down 2-0 in the third period on the road, and Marc-Andre Fleury just gives up that brutal first goal. Credit to him, he gave up another one, but he didn't blink after that, and there was no quit in Vegas, and we've seen that obviously throughout their existence, but that was a test for them last night. They didn't want to be pushed to the brink of elimination, and ultimately they're not, and now they've got Colorado on the ropes going back to Sin City. We know that the place is going to be packed. T-Mobile is just one of the wildest environments in the National Hockey League, and so they're going to be rocking and rolling, wanting to see their team eliminate the Colorado Avalanche, the prohibitive Stanley Cup champs, and a really good. I think we knew that a really good team was going to get bounced in the second round with that matchup, the same way that Carolina's on the outside after losing to Tampa. Like, Carolina was third in the regular season standings. They've got so much good young talent. They're the envy of the NHL when it comes to defensive depth, and they didn't put up really much of a fight against the Tampa Lightning. And so disappointment in Carolina, because I think they had high hopes, and either Colorado or Vegas are going home empty after winning just one round. And early on, I thought it was going to be a cakewalk for Colorado. They were tested last night and came up a little short, and so now there is no margin of error. But, man, I just love how skilled both teams are. You talk about the speed. You're right, Rick. There's physicality there. Those are really well-built hockey clubs, and the Vancouver Canucks have a long way to go to be mentioned in that kind of company.
The players are told in their exit meetings, Jeff, to go in the summer, get better, stronger, faster. But I also believe coaching staffs have to get better in the offseason as well. The Canucks clearly are talking to Brad Shaw about joining the staff. If Brad Shaw does end up in Vancouver, Jeff, what do they got to improve as the coaching staff as they head into essentially Travis Green's fifth year in Vancouver?
Yeah, and I like, the more that I sort of do some digging on Brad Shaw, I think he would be a really good fit for the Vancouver Canucks where they are. This is a guy that was an assistant, and then he was promoted to associate coach in St. Louis, worked under both Andy Murray and then Ken Hitchcock, so a couple of guys that know the defensive side of the game, most recently in CBJ, obviously, with Torts. And you think of some of the players that he has had a chance to shape and mold and work with, a young Alex Pietrangelo in St. Louis. And then Zach Werenski in Columbus. And Zach Werenski was the 8th overall pick in 2015 out of the University of Michigan. Well, now you got Quinn Hughes here. There were questions about Werenski. He put up 47 points as a rookie, and people wondered, that's great, but can he defend in the National Hockey League? And I think with some work with Brad Shaw, you've seen that Zach Werenski has developed his game. There's still the offense there, but he's rounded out his game. And so I think that the Canucks would be looking for something like that with not just Quinn Hughes, but Jack Rathbone as well. Perhaps a guy like Brad Shaw could bring Olli Juolevi along and help him develop a little further than he is right now. The other thing to keep in mind is 2 years ago, the last full 82-game season, Columbus had the best penalty kill in the National Hockey League. The Canucks were below the middle of the pack this year, and when you think of how much money and the resources that they have devoted to penalty-killing specialists, and they just haven't got the job done, I think that that's another area that a guy like Brad Shaw could come in and contribute. So I like the idea of beefing up the coaching staff. I don't know what it means for the existing guys. I'm not here, calling for heads and wanting guys out of work, because we were all there not that long ago, and it's not a lot of fun. But I don't know that you can just add another coach without shifting somebody I don't think they would add Bradshaw to the bench and keep Baumgartner and Newell Brown there as well. So I'm not quite sure how this all fits in the overall structure of the coaching staff, but I like the idea of bringing in somebody that's got a little bit of pedigree.
Maybe somebody goes to Abbotsford. Jeff, thanks for this. We'll talk to you on Friday. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you.